Hi there, I'm Dan with Carolina Chair and Table, and today I'll be showing you how to assemble our 1617 ladder chair. Before we begin the assembly process, I'd just like us to take a minute to get familiar with the actual parts and the hardware and tools that we're going to be using for the assembly process. We have our backrest, the seat, front legs, shelf A, we have our supports, and our shelf B. When we begin the assembly process, we'll be starting with parts E and F, which is shelf B. It's the smaller of the two. The hardware provided are 4 self-tapping screws, 4 long bolts, 10 short bolts, a pack of wood buttons, and an Allen key. The other tool required for the process but is not provided is a Phillips head screwdriver. If you have a smaller type of screwdriver that's a little shorter than a standard, it can make the process a little bit easier later on. Now that we've finished going over all the parts, hardware, and tools that we'll be using, we're ready to begin the assembly process. We're going to be starting with parts E and F, and we're going to begin by taking note of the diagonal on the shelf and the flat on the shelf. And we're going to align that with the diagonal and the flat on our support, just like that. Make sure that this is nice and flush. From there, you can take 2 of the 10 small bolts, tighten that down. Now the other side. Remember, once again, aligning those angles with one another, making sure they're flush. Just like that. Now for step 2, attaching our shelf to the backrest. Starting out, we're going to want to make sure that our 90-degree angle is facing up, not down. Go ahead and have this angled upwards and finding the top of the chair, making sure that this sits just like this. And now, using the 4 of the longer bolts, we're going to attach this from behind. Now for step 3, the seat installation. We're going to place the seat down with the bottom facing up and the 2 notch cutouts facing towards you. You hang that off of a table just a little bit, and then taking our backrest, we're going to turn this upside down and place this just on top of the seat. We're going to install our 4 self-tapping screws, 1 on either side and 2 in the back. And using the Phillips screwdriver, just applying a little bit of pressure to get that screw to go through, and then from there it should turn relatively easily. Now, something to take note of at this time is there aren't any pilot holes drilled. That's why they're self-tapping screws. It's just going to take a little bit of pressure to get the screw to break through the wood, and then from there it should go in relatively smooth. Now I'd like to take a moment just to discuss an alternate method to installing the seat. Now, having a short screwdriver, preferably under 3 inches, or having an offset screwdriver could make this process a lot easier for you, and you might not even need to listen to this part. But if you don't have either of these two, and you're resorting to drilling the holes, I'd like to discuss a little bit of a method that I've come up with that makes it just a little bit easier. And when you take your backrest and place it down on the seat, what we're going to want to do is make sure first that everything is as flush as we can get it. Now you're going to take your 4 screws, put them in each of those holes. You can use any object that has, a hard surface. You could even use the Allen key in your assembly. And you're just going to take it and push on that head of the screw. Do that to all four. And then you remove the backrest. And you can see where that indentation will be and where you're going to want to drill your hole. Being extremely careful not to go too deep. You don't want to go through the wood. You can drill a hole for each of those four. And from there, it becomes extremely easy. To tighten down the screw. Now for step 4, attaching our shelf A to our front legs. Now this is a similar step to step 1, but the major difference is we're only going to put one of the front legs on first. Now taking note of that same diagonal from before, making sure that this is nice and flush. We're going to take 2 more of our smaller bolts. Don't tighten these down yet, just enough to keep it attached, and we'll tighten them down in a moment. So we're going to take this side and aligning this angle of the leg against the same angle of the support, you're going to place this notch against here. Just like that. And taking a moment to point out the locking mechanism on the chair, you're going to want to make sure that the leg latch is matching up with the support latch before you go and tighten everything down. You'll take your other leg, attach it on the other side, just like that. You can take our other bolts, put those in. Our last 2 bolts down at the bottom. Now for our final step in the assembly process, we're just going to be installing our little wooden buttons. You're just going to find each of those bolt holes and place the wooden button inside and give it a firm press. My preference with these actually is to get a little piece of cloth and a mallet and just giving it a little tap, and that'll help it seat in there a little bit more flush. Once you finish that, you've completed your ladder chair and it's ready for use. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.